Hi, I'm Mary from Joyful and Merry Quilting, and I was invited by the Fabric Hut to test out one of their products, their titanium blades. So they sent me a packet of their blades and asked me to review them, and that's what I'm going to do here. But my thought was, I've looked at a lot of different reviews when it comes to different products, especially blades. I think it's a good idea to review several blades just to see how they compare and see if their blade actually works better than the others. So what I have here are the 3 blades that I'm going to test. They're all in Olfa cutters. That's what I had. The first one is the Fabric Hut titanium blade. That's the blade that they have asked me to review. So this is first. There's their packaging. The second blade is just a good quality tungsten steel blade. There are several out there on the market, and I find that they all work pretty much the same. So I'm just going to lump them all into one category. And then the third one is an inexpensive blade that I bought at a tool store. I've heard lots of people talk about these, that they work just fine, and I thought, let's test it. Let's see if they really do. So I have these 3 particular products. The titanium blade from Fabric Hut runs about $7.50 per blade, which is quite expensive. You get 10 blades in a pack. The name brand blade here runs about $5 for each blade. Now, I did buy them in bulk as well in a 10 pack. They're a little bit more expensive if you buy them individually, and also you can find them on sale. The third one that I bought at the tool store was $1.99 for 2 blades. So let's see how they compare, and we'll just run a test on this and check how many layers each one of these blades can cut through before they don't cut anymore. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a long cut. I'm just going to cut 1 inch off of my fabric. I'm going to begin with the inexpensive blade, line this up, and I'm going to tell you how it feels and also if it cut through these layers. I have 4 layers. What I've done is just folded a width of fabric in half, so I have 4 layers here. So let's try this. I've never used this before, so we'll see how it goes. Okay. Ugh. That was 4 layers. Ugh. Okay. All right, right off the bat, it did not cut through 4 layers, so I'm not impressed. If you look at this, it's not straight. The edge is really frayed, and you saw how I cut, so it was really hard. I had to keep recutting. So I don't believe these inexpensive $1.99 for 2 blades actually are meant for quilting. Probably carpet cutting is what it said on the package, and that's probably fine. But even at $1.99, this is not the kind of cut you want when you're quilting. So we're gonna just take this one and set it aside. We're done with this one. So I have 2 cutters left that are still in the running. I'm gonna try and cut 4 layers with our name brand blade, another 1 inch cut, brand new blade, never been used, and that cuts nicely. That's a beautiful cut. So 4 works well with that one. Let's try with the titanium blade from Fabric Hut. Oh yeah, that works really nice too. I definitely could feel a difference when I cut this one. Not that this one wasn't good. This one cut just fine. But this one actually, I could feel the difference. It was just a little bit smoother, a little bit easier to cut with. Okay, so now we are going to cut 8 layers. The name brand cutter, that's what they say they cut. They say they will cut up to 8 layers. So let's see if that's true. So I'm just going to fold this in half so that I now have 8 layers. And let's see if it cuts. I'm still going to just do a 1 inch cut. So again, this is only the second cut on this particular cutter. Oh yeah, and it was harder. It was harder to push through, but it still made a very nice cut. Now we're going to try the titanium. Same thing. Oh yeah, much easier. It still was easier to cut with the titanium blade. The edge is smooth. I didn't have to push as hard. Okay, so we know both of these cut 8 layers. That's what this particular brand says. They say they cut 8. Let's go ahead and we're just going to add by 2 layer increments. So I've got 8 layers here, and I've just cut some extra pieces here. So I'm going to take 2 more and place them on top. So now we're talking 10 layers. I'm going to use the name brand cutter, and I am going to cut another 1 inch strip and see how it feels. Now this is going to go above and beyond what this particular cutter says it can cut. Okay, that was hard to cut but it still gave a pretty nice cut. We've got a nice smooth edge. So that one was good. Now let's do the titanium. We still have 10 layers for each of the cutters. Okay, that one again did cut a lot smoother. This one was a little hard. It was moving the fabric a bit because I was having to put a lot of pressure on it. The titanium at this point still was cutting pretty smooth. So let's go up and we're going to actually add the 2 layers to make it 10, and then we're going to add 2 more to make it 12. So now we have 12 layers on here. We have 12 layers on here. Let's see if our name brand blade can do that. Here we go. Okay, that was really hard to do, and it is fraying a little bit on the fabric. Not too much though, but 12 was really difficult to do, to go through. I had to put a lot of pressure on it. Again, if you don't mind putting the pressure on, it's fine. If you have any issues with hand or wrist, you probably want to limit the number of layers that you cut. Okay, now let's try the titanium with 12 layers. And still a little bit more pressure I had to put on there, but it felt very easy to do. Okay, so I think we are probably at our limit when it comes to the name brand. So we know that we can get 12 layers out of a brand new name brand cutter. It's a little difficult. It did take a lot of pressure, but it worked. Now, as a blade gets duller, of course, we are less able to cut through that many layers, but we know maximum with a brand new blade, it was possible. The titanium blade easily cut through those 12 layers. So now just for fun, I'm going to try 16 layers just to see if it can do that. So I have the 12 that were already there, and then I'm going to add 4 more to it and just cut that in half. Now this is a little cumbersome because it's really tall here, and you probably would never do that. I am only testing the blade, which is why I'm stacking them that high, but I just want to see. So here we go. And it's a little frayed, but it did cut through. So I probably would not cut 16. 16 was a little too many. We know the name brand blade barely cut through the 12 layers, but I did try cutting through the 16 just to see, and it would not cut through the 16. So we definitely have a winner when it comes to the titanium blades as to how many layers they will cut through. These easily cut through 12. 16, yes, we did get a cut. It was a little bit jagged on the edge, so I would not go that high, but that is a lot of layers for this 45mm blade to cut through, and I think it did a great job. I did not have to put a lot of pressure on it for most of the cuts, and I think it gave a pretty smooth and nice edge. So I really do think this was a good quality blade. Fabric Hut does mention that their blades typically last twice as long as traditional brand name blades. So although they may be slightly more expensive, it's absolutely worth the extra cost in the long run. So there you have it. That's our test. We tested the blades brand new out of the package to see how well they cut layers, how many layers they cut, whether or not the cut was smooth, and how much pressure I had to put on the cutter in order to achieve a nice smooth cut. The titanium blade really worked well. It definitely had a very smooth cut. I had to use very little pressure on the 4 layers, the 8 layers. I had to push a little bit harder when I got to the 12, and then the 16, of course, I really had to push on that one. But it did give nice smooth cuts as I increased the layers of fabrics underneath the cutter. As for durability, how long the blade is going to last, it just depends on what you're cutting. If you're cutting 100% cotton fabric all the time, your blade is going to last a certain length of time. It will decrease if you're cutting fleece, denim, that sort of thing, leather. It just depends on what you're using your blade to cut with. But when it comes to the number of layers and the ease of cutting, that's so important, especially if you have shoulder and wrist issues. You want something where you don't have to push down as hard in order to achieve a nice smooth cut. And the titanium blade from Fabric Hut worked really well. So I would definitely give it a thumbs up. It's a great product.